also need to bring the politics around this. The council went and voted for no increase for workers. It was not one party. It was the council that went and voted that workers must not get increase. There must not be any political party that come here and mislead workers and said, we want you to get paid. The DA-led coalition had got less than 120 numbers, but the budget was passed by 167, meaning that there are parties who voted for that.
Which year was it?
That was in 2023. The safety relief valve for workers. We need to create stability, a long term that will say you have got 5 years, the agreement is in place, and also give the municipality chance to plan around the salary increase. There's no reason why municipality cannot plan. This is a long term, you are stable, you are guaranteed that there won't be strike because you have got an agreement in place. You are guaranteed that you can budget, you can even project in 5 years to say in 5 years this is how it is. Like water boards. They value the full-time shop steward. They see it as a something that you can be used outside that. But generally in the municipality, once you lose that status, I'm the Deputy General Secretary, I'm full-time. If I don't get elected, I'll go back to the depot.
Yes.
No negotiation will take place. You're not going to carry a different position from the one that...
For how many municipalities?
257 municipalities.
Which municipalities are excluded from this?
No municipalities excluded. Very important point that you are raising.
Thank you.
When we started negotiating, SALGA came to us and said, we want to exclude 157 municipalities from this agreement.
Reason?
We only want to bargain for 100 municipalities because these 157, they are under financial constraints. So therefore we cannot include them, otherwise we'll be breaking this.
Let's go, my share the political incorrect. We've got the SAMU Deputy General Secretary who's here, who's come back. You would remember we had a long podcast and it was centered around Tshwane. And what he wants to do now is let us allow him to finish what is Tshwane. Is it payment? Is it payment or salary increment issues? Because he says there are two. He will unpack it, and then afterwards I'm going to ask him, what does that mean for the new incoming government of Tshwane? Because it might be good news, because they will no longer be taken to court. Comrade Nketeni, please remind them who are you, where you from, and then let's start with the issues where we left off.
Yeah, now my name is Nketeni Mkavi. The Deputy General Secretary of SAMU. I work for City of Tshwane Municipality. I'm a shop steward here. Last time when we were here, we were talking about the wage and salary increment, which was intercepted through a review process lodged by the City of Tshwane under Section 145 of the Labour Relations Act. And we explained that we signed a collective agreement in 2021. September 15th, which was a multi-year, come to an end 30 June 2024. And that collective agreement outlined that on the first year, which was 2021-2022, we are going to get 3.5. And we apply for enforcement or compliance. We won that compliance order on the 11th of December 2021 because City was not complying. And still they didn't implement. Then we got a date for arbitration, which was set for the 9th of March 2022. They call it Section 33, capital letter A of the Labour Relations Act 66 of 1995. Now, on the eve of that particular hearing, the City of Tshwane applied for what we call exemption. The exemption, which is also regulated by the Labour Relations Act, Section 3030, subsection 1K, which requires that the bargaining council constitution should include party to be exempted from a collective agreement. So the collective agreement that we signed in 2021, it says if the party apply for exemption, in this case the municipality, then the other processes would stop. Then we went to a hearing around May, and we won that exemption. We defeated them, but they exercised their right under section 145 to review that particular matter. And the following year we were supposed to get 4.9, and they paid that, which was 2022-2023. The 2023-2024, they didn't pay the 5.4%, and they also applied for exemption. We won the case. We went there, we won the case. They review again under section 145, and the cases, both cases, they are before the Labour Court. The case of 2021-2022 is JR 991/22. The joint practice note has been submitted. We are expecting the date anytime from now. And the other one of 2023, which is JR 1946/23, we already got the date. We are going to court on the 28th of November 2024, and we are positive that we are going to win, because we have demonstrated over time that the city of Tshwane does have capacity to pay for the increase. We didn't say they have money, we said they have capacity to pay the increase. And we listed things that they need to do and not to do for them to be able to pay the wage and salary increase. And unfortunately, we also need to bring the politics around this. The council went and voted for no increase for workers. It was not one party. It was the council that went and voted that workers must not get increase. There must not be any political party that come here and mislead workers and said, we want you to get paid. The DA-led coalition had got less than 120 numbers, but the budget was passed by 167, meaning that there are parties who voted for that.
Which year was it?
That was in 2023.
The councillors of Tshwane betrayed the workers.
Look, they might have looked at their constituency, and workers are not part of the constituency that they are saving. Because obviously when you look at the budget, you say, does it talk to service delivery? Does it talk to where I was elected? And workers had to fend for themselves. So I'm not going to say councillors betrayed the workers. It will be a long shot, and it will get me into trouble with politicians. I'm not a politician.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not the first time I hear the council betraying workers. We dealt with insourcing, you and I, and comrades were not happy with how councillors renegated from their promises to vote in council.
From I'm standing, and as a Deputy General Secretary of SAMO, I have realized that we have got a scheme that we need to work, or framework that we work from, which is the Labour Relations Act and other labour laws. So in labour law, there's no councillors. That's why we need to exercise our right as enshrined by the law. That other ones are political things. But what I can tell you now is that council voted for budget that exclude workers from getting increase. 167 councillors voted and passed that budget, which include that.
Okay, so where are we now?
Where we are now, we in terms of 3.5, maybe I've explained it, and you know it nearly teared apart this the Tshwane region. There were people who were saying that the leaders have sold out, they've withdrawn the case. We can tell them that now that this case is going to court, and we're positive we're going to win. We've hired an accountant to look at papers, we've hired senior counsel, we've hired a lawyer and all that. So we are pulling all the stops to make sure that we get increase. Workers of Tshwane, they are going to get their bonuses and they will celebrate. They will forget about who sold out and all that, and we forgive them because some of them they were misled. Where we are now is that we're coming from national bargaining. We have signed a multi-year collective agreement which is going to stretch for 5 years, which indicate that on the first year from July 2024, which is the July that we are coming from, workers are going to get 4.5%. In March next year, they are going to get 1.5%, which then amount to 6% that workers are going to get. It's not the best of the agreement, but under the conditions now, when looking at the municipality, there are municipalities who cannot pay salaries. There are municipalities who are struggling to collect revenues. We enter into this so that we create stability and municipality be able to budget for the increase. And we didn't want to enter into an agreement that would be challenged through exemption. And you find that 50%, for example, they've challenged. And in that agreement, there are a lot of things that we've said. We said first year 6%, which is broken into 4.5 and 1.5. And the second year is that we are going to look at the CPIX, the inflation or consumer price index. So wherever it's going to be, we're going to add 0.75. But there is deeming clause that says if the inflation is going to be below 4%, it will be deemed to be 4%. In other words, if inflation for some reason, because it gets moderated by the central bank and all that, you might have seen how it has gone down from 5.2 to 4.5. Even in America, everywhere, it's going down. Even if it were to be moderated to 3.5, it will mean that the bargaining council will deem it to be 4%, and the addition will be 0.75. In other words, we're gonna get 4.75, and those the next 2 years. The outer left 2 years, it will be an addition of 1.25. In other words, if the inflation is 4%, it will be 5.25. And the deeming clause, it has got two portions. One is that if it's below 3%, it will be deemed to be 4. If it's above 7%, it will be deemed to be 7%. But we don't envisage a situation where it's going to go above 6%. If it happens, that it means the economy has collapsed in its entirety. So those are the agreement that we've entered into. It still have got an exemption. There were people who are saying this exemption clause must go. It is part of the labor relations scheme. So it's part of the law. If you enter an agreement without exemption clause, it will mean that that collective agreement is irregular or is unlawful. It can be challenged in court because parties must be given a clause that says if you don't want to comply, you can exempt yourself. These are the procedure that you need to follow and all that. Initially, we took even the maternity leave, but later on we agreed that maternity leave must go to the main collective agreement, which we are going to enter. We want to extend it from 3 years to at least 5 years. Looking at the challenges that after people giving birth, they have, sometimes they suffer post-traumatic, postnatal stress and all that. So these are the things that we are looking at. We are saying also parents must be able to bond with the child and all that.
Explain that maternity again, from what to what?
Yeah, we are saying we want to move it from 3 years to 5, from 3 months
to 5 months.
5 months.
Thank you
Not
very
yet.
much.
Otherwise, that would it would be like it's a pension. Pension.
Our resources.
No.
Yes.
It was just that's where we are, and we are hopeful that looking at the basic conditions, it regulates that. It's already at 4 months. We've got companies that are already paying.
Anything on paternity, maybe to parallel the...
Yeah, this was linked to paternity. We were calling for parity.
Yes.
You see, our law has got this sense of equity, that if your wife gives birth, you must also be given equal time to bond and also assist your wife during this period. So we're demanding equal amount in terms of days and all that, so that you can bond with your young one and all that. So
but in practicality, what do you think you'll get? Because it's still 5 days family responsibility.
If you were to get 30 days, to be honest, that would be better. But remember, there's a case that is before the Constitutional Court that's talked to equity. That says whatever a woman have given birth and you have got a spouse, that spouse must get equal rights. So we're waiting for that judgment. So we're positive that we're moving towards...
Do you think that is good for the markets?
Look,
will it not make people fear to industrialize and mass employ in South Africa?
The reality is that if you look at statistics and you look at the market itself, how many people are giving birth? If you were to look at a certain municipality, you find that not even 10%, we are talking 5%. The problem is that you just look at everyone, even people that are biologically have gone beyond the stage of having capacity to give birth, you think they will create crisis. So it's a fraction we are talking about. We are talking 5 to 10%. And we are also talking in terms of age. Those are newcomers at the market. And majority of people now, they are taking decisions, not even have kids. So there won't be huge impact. There is fear in the market, but it is in practice. We sign a collective agreement of Amanzi. Amanzi currently, they're getting 5 months. And there's no chaos. Instead, people become more productive. They think you are taking care of their well-being. And that is very important. Our workplace must also be family orientated. We must not only look at profit, we look at a lot of things. So it's happening already. Yes.
I wanted to dwell more on it, but I understand because we are still dealing with this.
Yes.
There's a new government that's coming.
Yes.
And you are having 2 court cases.
Yes.
Should I call it court cases?
Yes.
Because you found it difficult to agree with Tshwane here.
Yes.
Now you are taking each other to court and on two
Yes.
things. If the new government comes,
Yes.
rumor says Mashaba might take over as mayor,
Yes.
and this new government of people colluding. Do you think they might find all of this painstaking and settle out of court? And what would you envisage to be a good deal with the new government that's coming?
You see, with us, we remain hopeful. Even under this administration, we remain hopeful. That's why we opted for Section 150 of the labor relations. CCMA intervene and all that. We are still going to write to them next week or this week to say now we've settled the multi agreement. We think we must go back. So we are hopeful that whoever come as a government will re-look at the matter, look at the fiscus of the city, whether they've improved from where they were to where they are currently, how much is the capacity, failure of which the court is our refuge. We are going to win this case. So we don't want favors. No. Nobody must do us any favor. You must do it because you think you are right, because you can afford that. And also ourselves, we're going to push from the labor relation point. We've paid our lawyers. We've paid the accountant. We've looked at the books. So we are positive. But if the politicians comes in or new government comes in, if it happens and they decide to pay, we'll still celebrate. But remember, these are the very same people who voted that we must not get money. So they will just be reversing what they've done previously.
Yes.
We dare not forget that we are in this predicament because of the votes. 167 councillors. If they've made their Damascus, it's good luck for us.
Okay, I want us to talk about the multi-year agreement, 5 years. No?
Yes.
Is this breaking new ground? Has it been done before?
Look, it has never been done before. It's new in South Africa, and especially in terms of wage and salary. We have done this in terms of the main collective agreement, which we abbreviate MCA. It has always been a multi-year because we are looking at stability and all that. But this is groundbreaking. And what are the reasons why some will agree to this kind of agreement? You look at the government currently. We've got GNU. You've got municipalities that are not stable. Today, this one is mayor. Tomorrow, there's new coalition and collusion. This one is removed. This one is put in. And there's no stability. We said, and 2026 is around the corner. You don't know how SALGA is going to be reconstituted. So there will be a lot of changes. What do we do as a safety relief valve for workers? We need to create stability, a long term, that will say you have got 5 years, the agreement is in place, and also give the municipality chance to plan around the salary increase. There's no reason why municipality cannot plan. This is a long term, you are stable, you are guaranteed that there won't be strike because you have got an agreement in place. You are guaranteed that you can budget, you can even project in 5 years to say in 5 years this is how much this collective agreement will cost. So we're giving them opportunity. This is groundbreaking. It has never happened before. We agree to this. We know there are countries such as India and Indonesia, and I think India, they've got the longest collective agreement of wage and salary, which is 10 years. So of course you have to link it with the inflation, because if you don't link it to the inflation, you will have a crisis. But it assists. I'll give you an example. During COVID, if we didn't have a multi-year agreement, it would have been difficult to go back to the bargaining council. We're not supposed to meet physically. You can imagine you call a strike and you have to do umzabalazo through correspondence. It's not going to be fake.
Digital industrial action.
Exactly. And workers, I mean, employer was saying you can work from home. What were you going to do?
Yes.
So we look at that. And there's also a talk of monkeypox. You might have seen what the World Health Organization are saying, that there may be another lockdown coming. And we're not saying that, but we're also looking at those situations where they are beyond our control and all that. We create stability for our workers and all that.
Okay, so as groundbreaking as it is,
yes,
it's only for Tshwane.
No.
It's for how many municipalities?
257 municipalities.
Which municipalities are excluded from this?
No municipalities excluded. Very important point that you are raising.
Thank you.
When we started negotiating, SALGA came to us and said, we want to exclude 157 municipalities from this agreement.
Reason?
We only want to bargain for 100 municipalities because these 157, they are under financial constraints. So therefore we cannot include them. Otherwise we'll be breaking this municipality. That was their reason. Then they moved from 157 to 160 to 64. Until we said, now if you don't want to negotiate, let's leave the table. Because when you get mandate, 64 municipality, it does not meet the majority in terms of mandate taking. It means the majority have said, go and negotiate. So let's go with the majority. So that's how we won that. They were saying only municipalities that are financially viable. And they were saying there must be a clause that a municipality that is struggling must opt into the agreement. So it was not an easy negotiation that we just went there. We went there and they brought all sort of things from Treasury, what Treasury defined, financial constrained municipalities and all that, and only these 100 municipalities are viable. They raised a lot of issues. We also raised issues. We said municipalities, majority of them, they are struggling because of corruption, instability. When you look at senior managers who are suspended, duplication of services, contracted services and all that, cut all these things, then you have money for workers.
So allow me to deviate a bit.
Yeah.
Do you often get audience with the AG Maluleke to understand, or does she come to you guys to understand issues, because she deals with municipalities, specifically those 64 and 156? She always hammers them at no consequence.
No, we have never even given ourselves time to go and sit down with her. The only thing that we do, we read the reports.
Yes.
We read her recommendations,
yes,
which are not followed by any municipality.
True.
Because she don't just report. She make follow-up to say, you need to strengthen here and here and here and here. The municipality don't do that because there's too much political involvement. The supply chain collapsing, which are influenced by politicians. You could see even your VBS, if I were to take it along. It was politicians were involved, but administratively must be done by your CFOs, your municipal managers and all that. That is why majority of municipal managers and CFOs get suspended when they don't comply with these unreasonable and unlawful instructions. But I think you are raising a critical point. We need to visit our office and say, how do I assist? But remember, majority of our members, including myself, we don't have powers in terms of oversight. Those are powers of the council. Council must provide oversight. They've got their APC, they've got all the forums where they need to make sure that there's compliance with the regulation. All the AG report, they're saying non-compliance, collapse of systems. These are a problem. Collection system of municipalities in the metros and all that. Unlawful and wasteful expenditures and all that. Those are things that are happening. People fail to plan. Some of them, they even return money to National Treasury.
Because, I'm sitting here as a South African, I'm thinking, man, ever since the Auditor General was there, it's just one of those Chapter 9 institutions that keeps barking. The thief just come in, steal while the dog is barking. No one protects the dog. No one hires a bigger dog. No one gets pit bulls. It's just a small puppy that keeps barking. So South Africa, we are very good with oversight, peer review mechanisms. We took it out of the country with Thabo Mbeki. All of these things of benchmarking, looking at systems, task teams, delegations. Would SALGA AG maybe lead some sort of a task team that includes yourselves, because I'm an international space, you guys, and and other stakeholders? Let's say, for example, you go for a 2-week, I don't want to call it boss beran because that weight I've got troubles with, to go and sit at a minute, because sometimes we just think, put it under administration. So this what we call corruption just repeats itself with administrators. So is it possible that you guys could get to a stage where you guys go there, you sit in offices, you call people, okay, so how do you normally do this on a 2 weeks or a month before even administration is suggested, just to understand what is it, and with punitive measures? Because if the AG says you guys have been battling and you've been in leadership, every year you've been hit, you are failing to do this, where is KPMG? Who are your auditors? And Zabulo, who are these people who keep telling you are doing wrong? And you understand what I'm saying?
I think you are raising a valid point. And luckily, after this podcast, I'm going straight to an NOB meeting. That is something that I'm taking to the NOB with, suggesting that we go out into a stress session and said, how do we rectify all these things that are raised by Auditor General? Because you see, we can't be a union that only demand salary increase. We must be the union that demand quality service delivery to the residents, so that it translates to people having trust into municipal workers. When we demand salaries, people are not shocked. So these are the ones that we see them under the trees, they're not doing anything. So those are things that we need to look at. We're going to push forward and say, let's have a meeting. Let's see how do we then implement our consequence management, professionalize municipal services and all that. That's something that we're going to take forward. And I guarantee you are going to come back and say, this is how far we've gone. But in the collective agreement that we've signed, there's a clause that we're talking about service delivery charter and what need to be done. So we are all committed to service delivery. So in terms of operationalizing that clause, we must then say, we agree that there must be a service charter that we adhere to. What is in the service charter? What is the powers of each party, and what do we do if it's not adhered to? And those are some of the things that we are pushing forward, and we are positive. Everybody has got interest in how local government get run. If you look at water, you go to eThekwini, infrastructure collapsing. You go to Tshwane, you will have your Hammaskral debacle. You go to majority of places in Johannesburg, you have got buildings that are being hijacked and cause a problem. You find fire and all that. So we need to go back and say, what do we do? It's no longer about the municipality only. A stakeholder, what is our role in this instant? All parties. SALGA is a transformational body. I only seen when there's wage and salary negotiations. What is your role outside collective bargaining? Those are issues that we need to discuss, and I think it's being proactive.
Okay, thank you. So let's go back to the multi-year plan, that agreement that you won.
Yes.
Very encouraging. You spoke a lot of English with figures of a minimum of 4 and a protection of 7.
Yes.
It makes sense, but you do agree that it may not make sense to a lot of people.
True.
Yes. So, and there's no other way of explaining it without using those percentages. So I just want you to do this, maybe in layman's terms, for our mothers who work in cities and our fathers who have not read books further.
Yes.
What does it mean? Let's talk about like the basic things. Does it have overtime increments? You spoke about maternity, the Sunday time, medical aid. Talk about those issues. What are the wins? Do you think in the first year everything the status quo is held at that, and then maybe it will improve as the year goes, or you just thought let's let's fasten it this way. Do you have it on top of your head, or it's...
No, I do have it.
Okay.
I do have it. In actual fact, when we negotiate for wage and salary, it also affects other conditions, such as medical aid, your provident fund, your overtime, of course, they will be impacted, your standby allowances and other allowances. How does it get impacted? If you are earning currently 10 rands and there's an increase of 4.5, when you work overtime, there will be a top up of that 4.5. It means your overtime would have increased. So it's like you have read this. We have got this across the board increase. So it increases everything. Your medical aid, your pension fund, your provident fund, your standby. There will be changes in terms of how we calculate our salary, because even our salary bands are going to change. If you were earning 10,000, for example, I'll give a round figure of 10,000 rand. It means you are going to get 10,450 rand from July until March, and you're gonna get another 150 from March until June. So it's an amount of 600 rand, and that is where your overtime, your standby allowance will be calculated. But in terms of medical aid, we said employees, it will increase by 4.5, but not more than, I'll give a round figure. The employer is not going to contribute more than 5,500. So whatever you do, the employer will only contribute to amount of 5,500. But in terms of your pension fund, it's calculated, we have got different schemes. There are others who are contributing 7%, 27%. So that 27% will be calculated in the new salary. So it changes everything. It's groundbreaking. I think municipal workers will celebrate. Of course, would have loved to have more than what we get. Somebody will say we could have get 10% and all that, but we will look at different material conditions.
Yes.
You look at the viability of that agreement being challenged or implemented without being challenged by many municipalities. Yeah. So there is increase in everything.
So across the board, you are meaning that if this is overtime, this is night shift allowance, this is standby, that is, so when you say across the board, everything is a blanket application of all of those things. So that's what it means. Yes.
It's going to go up by 4.5%, but when we get the 1.5, it's not going to go there.
Okay.
Yeah, there's an exclusion in terms of your housing allowance and all that. But when the next July comes, it's going to increase across the board, yes.
And then you take it down to specific municipalities where the shop stewards are there.
Yes.
They will speak the language that they would understand.
Definitely.
Yeah, they would know. And what forums do you call it? Generally in some, what do you call these forums where employees get, they call it reasonable time, right?
Yeah.
Where they can talk to the employees. How do they?
No, got different forums. You've
yes.
got your shop steward committees, you've got your general meetings.
Yes.
Those are forums where workers get to interact or interface with the shop stewards.
So there's no employee who might claim that they never heard of their shop steward and stuff, because those things are
accorded. Yeah. You see, that is why members may know Nketeni and all that. They don't even know their shop steward. That's why if things go wrong, they don't point to their shop steward, they will point to us.
Yes.
There are also those shop stewards who won't go to members and explain, who cannot explain. That is the challenge that we have. That is why we release your news bulletin, we release the statements so that we reach out to members. But we are sure that there are members who may not even get this information. But our numbers are out there. People can call, we can engage each other, we can drill it down to specific, because municipal workers want to know how much am I going to get
exactly
as an individual.
Yes.
And you have got 160,000 members.
Yes.
So when you talk at that level of 160. But individual, when they come, then you can say, no, let me calculate your salary. This is how much you're going to get and all that. It's our duty and responsibility to do so.
Yes. So I want you to explain like the most basic things.
Yes.
A workplace, what defines a workplace?
Yes.
And in a workplace, at what number do they receive a shop steward,
Yes.
and all of those things for employees to know that the reason they are not receiving, they not have a shop steward,
Yes.
and how do you make sure that this thing trickles down? Because you know what happens is someone would say, this some of them,
Yes.
here is their deduction, but they never come down to us.
Yeah.
But they do not know that these guys who are with them, they are as well capacitated, and you do shop steward training for them to be able to impart these things to them. I want you to take it from the steps of what defines a workplace, and how do they get the shop steward, by which numbers. Please take us through.
You're raising a very important point of money being deducted 85 rand. So those leaders are eating our money, they are coming to us and all that. You know, just before I answer that, last year in December we went to Torino in Italy, and we were there for a course in social dialogue. Of course, there was a cultural night, and we danced, and the video went viral, and they were saying that's where your money from some is being charged. And that was a study tour about collective bargaining, which the results are what you are seeing today. And people extrapolated or single out me as the one who's using some. There was Imatu, there was SALGA, we were almost 54 countries in that. So of course those kind of questions to say, why is our money being deducted and we are not getting services there? How do you get shop stewards? Our figures are found in the Constitution that requires a ratio of 50:1. 50 members must have one shop steward. But we also qualify it, there's a part thereof, and a part thereof can get. For example, you find that one constituency has got 75 members, and because they're not 100, they are 50, and there's one that has got 25. So you then take that 25 and the other 25, you have the area where there's got least numbers to also have shop steward. So in other words, there's an element of compensating in between to say everybody must have a shop steward nearby. You find people from libraries, these are small constituencies, you find that 3 or 4 people who are working there. So you look at nearby to say those who are working nearby, they come together, there may be multidiscipline constituency, you find there's electricity nearby, there's crèche, there's library and all that, then they become one constituency. The aim is that everybody must have somebody close by to represent them. So the number is very flexible, but we strive to say every constituency or workplace, it can be defined as the entire Tshwane can be a workplace, but a constituency, it varies. It can be electricity as a department, a constituency or division or a section, or people who go in the same building, but multidiscipline, other electricity, water and all that, and you say it's a one constituency. The aim is not just to have shop steward, is that members must get service and must get somebody who can explain to them before a collective agreement is implemented. When we go to negotiation, there must be somebody, when they've got grievances, they know who's going to represent them. So yes, we try. We've got almost 187 shop steward in Tshwane.
178. 87.
Whether they are still active, you find that out of that only 30% is active. The majority they are not.
Okay, so does some who have full-time shop stewards?
No, we do have 6. We have 6. I'm one of them. The provincial secretary is one of those. Those are the people who are supposed to be assisting at the office. We qualify. The main collective agreement give us a number of 6.
National?
No. At the region. It's a ratio base. It's 1,000:1 with a capping of 6,000. In other words, if a municipality like Tshwane, we are 10 to 11,000 members, the first 6,000 you get full-time shop steward. The outer numbers, we don't calculate it.
Okay. Yeah. And so generally explain the work in very short terms. What does a shop steward who is full-time and a regular shop steward do? The other one is a full-time trade union representative. The other one is just a trade union representative.
When you are full-time, it means the employer has agreed to release you to do union work on a full-time basis while you are paid by the employer. But in terms of the work, it's the same work like any other shop steward.
Okay.
The only difference here is that you are released to do that work on a full-time basis.
Okay.
The work of shop steward, it ranges from being an educator. Shop steward must be able to educate members. There's a two-pot system. You must explain to members, what is this two-pot system? How does it work? How did it come about? Who influenced the two-pot system? There's a wage and salary collective.
What is NEDLEC?
Yeah.
What is a federation?
Yes.
What is... Oh,
yes,
okay.
you need to train them. So you must be an organizer. You organize, you take membership, you do all. You can even be a counselor. People come with problems. You need to respond to these challenges. You need to respond to a lot of things. So you must be an all-rounder as a shop steward. Whether it's a financial problem, whether it's a social problem, whether it's this kind of problem, a shop steward must be somebody who's there, is an all-rounder and who understands these things. And yeah, so you are the face of the organization when you're a shop steward.
Let's talk about something that happens at an exception.
Yes.
But it does happen. What happens at the end of service? And I'm using a wrong word here, hoping that you'll correct me.
Yes.
At the end of a lifespan of a full-time shop steward, whether at council, not council, at your maybe conferences, you cease to be a full-time shop steward. Now you have to go back to your desk. I'll call it a desk.
Yes.
Your normal working area. What negotiations you come into with the employer? Generally, what then happens?
Unfortunately, it differs from municipality or from workplace to workplace. I know at some entities like water boards, they value the full-time shop steward. They see it as a something that you can be used outside that. But generally in the municipality, once you lose that status, I'm the Deputy General Secretary, I'm full-time. If I don't get elected, I'll go back to the depot.
Yes.
No negotiation will take place. You're not going to carry a different position from the one that you were elected in. And that is something that you need to look at, because you've got former leaders who just go back like nothing happened, all the experience down the drain. And that
the capacity.
Yeah, the capacity that we have. But you must understand that leaders amongst ourselves, we created a situation whereby a shop steward must not get promoted at work. Because if you get promoted, is that you have sold us out, whether you are studying or you're not studying. So shop steward must stagnate as if they are not employees, as if they are not there to also enjoy other benefits. And it's a very serious point that you are raising. I was talking about it this morning.
Yeah.
Because I see some positions are being advertised in Tshwane. I said, but shop stewards are supposed to be applying for this. They've got experience in collective bargaining. But they've created a situation where a shop steward get promoted, they said, he has sold out.
There are positions that would do with internal stakeholder management, ER, external
grievance handling, all this kind of
stuff like that. Maybe maybe at a high managerial role, someone who does workshops and stuff, training of organizations, change management, all of those things.
You see the challenge
are the skills that inherently a full-time shop steward would have.
You're correct. You're spot on.
So,
unfortunately, when one is the Deputy General Secretary, he then get isolated from being an employee and a member of the union. There's a perception that are created that you belong to a different scheme.
Yes.
Even ourselves, we make that mistake.
Yeah, but your payroll, you forgot your payroll comes from here.
The employees are going to benefit. No, we must then say we are going to benefit.
Yes.
Because I'm part of the system of those who are going to benefit. And the main collective agreement is explicit. It says a shop steward should not be treated differently when there are promotional positions. When there are other training, the employers still have that obligation to make sure that you are trained. You should not be isolated from the system. So, but we have created that ourselves. And there are leaders who go on top of the mountain. I mean, I've been promoted twice. And there were leaders who go around and say, no, he got promoted because he's close to management and all that. Now, they block future transformation. We remain proponent of transformation now, you want us to refuse that. You know, you raise a very important point, but that's one issue that we don't want to discuss. When I took over as the chair of Tshwane, I said, we need to talk about positions. We need to say, how do we capacitate shop stewards? You are gaining managerial experience as a shop steward. Which other stream do you want to study? We have got sitters who are giving bursaries. We have got people who are studying. Why are they studying? They must be promoted at work. And also assist the union from a different position. You know, once a unionist, always a unionist. If you enter that space with the love of it, even if I were to become a city manager tomorrow, for example, I'll still have that union, soft spot for the union, soft spot for the workers and all that. Yeah. And when they call you, you can still say, I can train you on 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, because there are lots of things that are unrealistic, and you know, I can come in as a general worker.
Yes.
And ascend through my skills, because I would have applied at the municipality as a general worker, but I've acquired skills and academic qualifications that I'm now well versed, and with the experience that I've gained outside the field. Now you can imagine if now I'm taken from a national let me just say a full-time shop steward to go back to the cleaning, it will not work. I'm going to frustrate people. I'm going to be frustrated. And so you see, it's one of those things. Let's talk about the word exception again, because now it works in favor. Where the head of the organization or the municipality would then have an exception to employment process, to say no, this person, he can be given a certain, because this is where maybe collective agreement, and unfortunately such things are not done through Labor Relations Act, have to be done through cordial relationships between the union and the employer. But I've always thought of it as a blind side of our negotiated settlement.
We are not realistic, and we are not honest as unionists. And it's because of the sensitivity of the constituency that we are leading. Our constituency want to be better than the shop steward. They don't mind to be promoted, and the shop steward not promoted, and it's fine. Except where I used to work in Pretoria West Power Station, they will complain to say, no man, you have been here for long. All of us who have been promoted, it's your time. They will wish you to have a better car. But generally, that is not the case. You see a shop steward driving a car, they say, that's our money. You see a shop steward getting promoted, irrespective of whether the shop steward is reading or not, or is studying or not. Then it becomes something, it's become a taboo. And we need to encourage our shop steward to study, to get promoted, to make sure that they augment their qualifications and all that.
Generally, I would just wanted to paint a picture of why, and there's generally mistrust between the workforce and the labor representatives. So, in selling ideas, especially things that may not work, because the point that I want to get into is, because it's emotionally taxing as well. That every year you go on negotiating for this for salary increments. It's labor intensive. It drains resources of the organization itself, the municipality, the resources of the labor, and there are a lot of these wins. I want you to explain to them in full, so your constituency can understand. When you don't have to go back to the table every year to negotiate things. What power does it give you, and with this time that you've gained back, what is it that you can do with it?
Negotiation, it's very taxing. I can tell you. This multi-agreement, we negotiated it for, I think, almost 20 days. Full week. Then we went on recess, another week, and another week.
Day by day,
moving from bigger committee to small committees. When you realize things are not working, you try to talk a small committee of 2, drilling down, sitting in a small committee of drafting the collective agreement, sitting in a small committee of drafting the procedure on how to exempt a party taxing. that thing is taxing, and it does not need common sense.
And the councils you have to acquire the services of, yes, as a union.
Yeah. So what you are raising is very important. So this multi, it does not mean that it will gonna give us a breather in terms of negotiation. We have got the main collective agreement, which we need to renegotiate. We've got a disciplinary collective agreement, which we must go back and negotiate. So these things, it's only a breather to the wage and salary collective agreement. That will give us 5 years of not going back, not being worried whether there will be an agreement or not. The agreement is there to also give a breather to municipality, a space to be able to calculate and come up with the strategies on how to implement and all that. That when it's come to us, it does not stop. Because you have got different forums of negotiations. The main collective agreement, like I said, the disciplinary procedure, like I said, we need to go back. There's another one that we need to deal with, which is the wage curve. Now, if you look at the municipalities have got different salary scales or gradings. You find that in Johannesburg, for example, there was a strike in Johannesburg because they're not paid like Tshwane, but they are graded the same way as Tshwane. So this grading, we need to have a common understanding. And Johannesburg may use task, partisan, hay, and all this kind of salary grading. And Tshwane is using partisan. It means we are using task currently. But municipality are quasi-federal. Now, they use different method of salaries. We need to collapse that into one to avoid sporadic strikes. So that you don't have Rustenburg to say, we are grade 7, but you are paying us as grade 6. You have got Mirafong says, we are grade 8, you are paying us as grade 4. You know, this kind of thing. So we need to harmonize that. So, bargaining council, we are not closing our books. We are still going to go back. But it needs people must read. Currently, you don't use common sense. We went there. You know, our members said to us, we don't want exemption. And we went there, we put it in the papers to say no exemption. And some of us, we laughed, but it's regulated. So you are using common sense. So we need people who are ready. Make sure that you understand the contemporary issues insofar as the labor relations is concerned, why certain things are done. You also need to understand the market. You are not just going to say, we raised the issue of maternity leave, we said 6 months, they said, why didn't inform 6 months? Now, because members have given you 6 months, you need to go to do your studies, your investigation, your research, and said, why 3 months? Why from 3 months to 6? So you need to give reasons. There are people who are giving birth through cesareans. There are people who suffer stress after that. So you compound this. So it's a scientific process. So you need to all do these kind of things. It's so grueling. It's not easy. And people think you just go there and say 2% and you come back. There are a lot of things. When you talk about salaries also, they ask us, Sam, how did you arrive at 15%? Our workers wanted 15%. Our members say 15%. I also said 15% is a good number. Looking at my salary, I was going to get a good salary. But the reality is that you need to say, where is the inflation? What is the capacity of the municipality to pay? What are the collection rates? What are other variables that have to play in terms of salaries? What is the market behavior? Which other sector got 10% currently? We're not saying there's no exception. You may be an exception. But how many people are paying for electricity that must translate into paying your salaries? Very few people are paying because people are not working and all that. So yeah, collective bargaining is not an easy thing. But it's something that I enjoy as a person. I study, I read, I try to understand how do you strike a collective agreement, how do you push, even when you don't have strike. Because currently, I can tell you, we're not going to strike. Members hate strike. Unless you can tell them that you're going to get a benchmarking agreement, you're going to get 10,000 rand. Because people are paying bond, people are paying school fees, no work, no pay when it comes to play is a challenge. So yeah, it's a difficult one.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we are going back.
I'm glad you do reconcile that lack of trust between the union representatives and the workplace, because they will give you something unrealistic.
Let me talk about that.
Sure.
They've given us 15%, but immediately the facilitator put 4.5 and 1.5. We got calls to say, go and sign this thing. We want our money by September. You have been given mandate of 15%.
Yes.
Now, there's a facilitator who say 4.5 and 1.5, and they're saying, go and sign. These are the same members. The reality is that our people are disparate. They just want to see themselves having money in their pockets. And as leaders, we need to develop shock absorbers.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't worry when workers introduce issues to say, no, these workers these are not representing us. You must go back when it's time for election. The very same people who said they don't want you, they elect you first. I think it keeps us on our toes.
Yes.
It's important that members raise these issues. And members, I don't want to use this word that they're not honest. You know, when Tshwane we won the benchmarking, they praised the DA, not the union. They said, no, this DA give us money. When the very same system is applied in reversal, then the DA and other political party go to council and say no increase. They said, this shop what? Abort. They don't say no, but this DA, no. That's how it works. And when you are a leader, you accept that.
Okay, let's talk about what affects people outside municipalities.
Yes.
What does that mean for residents of various cities? What are the chances of having industrial action? Trash on the road, robots being sabotaged, water systems, infrastructure being sabotaged, because every time it happens, someone is taking a flag.
No, with the municipal workers currently, I can tell you that there will be these
pockets.
Yeah, because of the grading of the municipality. But we are going to write to the bargaining council to say, let's look at these things to avoid this unnecessary strike. Let's go negotiate. Municipality must be graded correctly and all that, because we want to deliver quality services to the residents, including ourselves. Remember, we are consumers. When I go to treatment water plant and the water is clean, it goes to my house. So we need to look at it that way. So there must be stability, because what pushed us to sign this multi-year is for stability. So, but one collective agreement cannot create stability. There must be others that follow. The wage curve, how we grade the municipality, the main collective agreement, how discipline is going to be maintained at workplace. Those are very critical and important collective agreement that must follow now. And once we can sign that, we can say local government is very stable. Then we can move to other issues. We can move to what the AG is saying. How do we make sure that we rectify? What are the remedies? What are the consequences of those who are not following this? I think it's quite exciting time. If you are a visionary leader, you can see that we are going somewhere. And all these things, if we to be done from now until next year, June, we can then say local government is fairly stable. We leave the politician to remove and replace each other in the council, but the administration will be intact.
Let me use a word that I'll just to qualify my question. So I know you yourself sitting here.
Yes.
You are quasi apolitical.
Yes.
Because essentially you are political, but you do not do political work as we speak.
Yes.
I've seen the mayor of Johannesburg in Herman Mashaba cooperating with people not from his own benches to acquire goals that meet each other, well, of course at the detriment of himself in his political party. There's a possibility of Mashaba, big possibility of Mashaba heading Tshwane. And there are hanging issues like your finalization of the insourcing in all levels. Are you buoyant about this? Does it make you happy that a lot of things will be closed, judging by him having agreed with parties that do not belong to him to advance pro-poor issues?
You see, in municipality, I wish we were not led by politicians. Municipality don't need politics, because municipality is about service delivery.
Yes.
And service delivery, when you open your tap outside, you don't see black, green, and gold. You don't see green. You don't see blue. You want to see water coming out.
True.
So immediately we stop, or the moment we stop depoliticizing municipal services, is the time that we'll understand that the political lines means nothing as long as governance is collapsing. So our wish is that we find a way that civic movement, labor movement, political parties work for the better good of the people, irrespective of a party line. I make a point, make it a point that I develop relationship with anyone. As long as you can speak that workers must have this, residents must have this, it's important, irrespective of your political line. Politics, they're not paying bills currently, they're not delivering services. People are bickering, they're in the municipality, they're tearing each other's shirt. People want services out there. I've never heard any community going to strike that you are not beating each other in the country.
Same question rephrased.
Yes.
Are you fearful or are you welcoming to the possibility of Mashaba being the mayor of Tshwane?
No. Maybe other people can be worried. We not that neither are worried or celebrating. I've said it. We have got our Bible. This is our Bible. Mashaba, whoever comes, comply. If you don't comply, you will have disgruntled staff. You
are sitting with a municipal administration that keeps making reviews and using exceptions when this Stalingrad is not helping our people working for the city and obviously affecting us. So this Stalingrad is inside that Bible, so someone can push it to a limit and stretch it.
Yes.
Yeah, but you'd want someone who admits firsthand and not want to stretch it, and this is the difference between the lower and the higher. So Mashaba, I'm insisting that I have seen him that even if it's not his own party line, he can sacrifice and compromise certain positions. So I'm saying that to you for the third time. Are you happy, or you just want to say you are indifferent about him?
No. We want government that will work for the people.
No matter the personality.
No matter the personality. You see, this thing of personalities is the one that is creating problems. So from our point, as South African municipal workers, we have Mashaba can come here. Their impediment towards achieving our goal as municipality to deliver quality services. Others are Municipal Finance Management Act. You can't run electricity, water, fresh produce market using the Municipal Finance Management Act. Whether you bring whoever, because we use tender system, there are certain things that you need to follow. The only thing that one can advise is that the city of Tshwane must move towards making sure that your electricity, your water, your market become a state-owned entity, so that they are viable and you can use different method of acquiring services immediately. That is other reason why municipalities are struggling currently, is the laws that are there. But from our side, like I'm saying, we use this law. This is what we have agreed upon. As labor, we are part of NEDLEC. We also agree on how things must be done. So let's see who comes in and what do they do. But let's put people first. If we don't put people first, we're going to have a serious crisis. We're going to have a social unrest in South Africa. It's very important that you know that the stable economy and the stability of this country is dependent on how government treats its citizens and whether politicians are seen as people who are working for the people. Because majority of them it's employment. That's why people can move from this party to this party. different shapes and colors and all that. How does that happen if it's about ideology? You can see that it's about employment, it's about, and forget about anyone else. So let's put people first. Whether you are Brink, whether you are Bonzo, whether you are Mashaba, whether it's Uber King of EFF, you come in. Put people first. Don't look at the party lines. Get the crop of people who are going to deliver services for this country or for this municipality. In closing, short questions, short answers. Yes. When does this multi-year agreement end? It's end 2029. 2029? Yes. Kicks in July 2024. Is there possibilities of certain municipalities having exceptions on their side? Is there they are struggling? Is there possibility that we might have industrial actions? You've already answered that one because you said it's the payroll system and the gradings and stuff and rating and stuff. Is there a possibility that this thing could be redone? Maybe people say no, it's not sustainable. Someone takes you to court, takes SALGA to court, and it collapses, and you start again. It's watertight. They tried. SALGA tried to say we must have an escape clause. We said nix. Yeah, we're not having that. It's either you're in or you're out. South Africa is alive with possibilities. You know, the Constitutional Court has given people powers to veto things that they've agreed on themselves. So I want to release you with the last words. With the last word to your constituency. What is it that you thought you wanted to tell them that you think you have not gotten a chance to tell them? Yeah, look, I think I've covered majority of things, but the reality is that municipal workers, especially those who believe in SAMU, they need to understand that they've got leaders who cares about them, leaders who think about their well-being, leaders who want to deliver services. Those are leaders who are led by Nelson Mokhotu, who's the president, and the general secretary, Dumisani Makaguli. Those are leaders who are selfless, leaders who are making sure that municipal workers are taken care of. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Baberiki Itada.